I get it when you're scrolling through a sea of cheap drones, the promise of easy flying and awesome footage looks great on paper, but most of the time the moment you pull that bargain model out of the box the camera is blurry, the signal drops the instant you walk a few feet away, and the whole thing ends up as a pricey paperweight. That hesitation is what keeps a lot of people on the fence, especially when the price tag starts creeping into the three-figure range. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So the question I keep hearing is, does the DJI Air 3S Fly More combo feel like a smarter buy, or is it just another high-priced gadget that will collect dust? First off, the Air 3S sits in a sweet spot between the ultra-portable consumer drones and the professional rigs that cost a small fortune. It's built around a 1-inch CMOS sensor, which is a noticeable step up from the 1 or 2.3-inch chips you find on most hobbyist drones. In real life, that means you can actually walk outside on a sunny afternoon, point the drone at a distant mountain, and get a crisp, detailed image that doesn't look like it was taken through a cheap webcam. The HDR 4K per 60 frames per second video capability isn't just a marketing buzzword. When I tried it on a bustling city rooftop at sunset, the footage held onto the color in the sky while still capturing the texture of the brickwork below. That kind of dynamic range is something you normally need a much larger, heavier camera to achieve. One of the biggest practical strengths of the Air 3S is the forward-facing LiDAR sensor paired with an expanded suite of visual sensors. For most people, night flying sounds like a gimmick, but in the field it's a genuine safety net. I tested the drone on a dimly lit trail at dusk, and the obstacle avoidance held steady even when the trees were just silhouettes. The LiDAR gives a reliable depth map that the vision system alone can't provide in low light, which means you can actually chase that golden hour glow without worrying about crashing into a low branch. The smarter return-to-home algorithm builds on that too. The moment the battery hits its low water mark, the drone evaluates wind, distance, and any obstacles in its path before charting a route back, often choosing a smoother trajectory than the older models. Flight time is another area where the combo really shines. With the 3 intelligent batteries included, you're looking at up to 45 minutes of air time split across them, not counting the time you'll spend swapping. In a typical weekend shoot, that translates to 3 full-length sessions before you have to head back for a charge. The charging hub is compact enough to slip into a backpack, so you can keep the batteries topped up while you're on the move. That said, the 45-minute figure is still an average. If you're pushing the drone hard fast curves, aggressive climbs, or flying into the wind, the actual time you get from a single charge will dip down into the mid-30s. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to factor in if you're planning a long day of continuous aerial filming. The remote controller deserves a separate mention. DJI's RC2 comes with a built-in 5-inch screen, which means you don't have to lug a phone or tablet to see the live feed. The screen is bright enough to be readable in direct sunlight, and the layout is intuitive. You get the usual flight telemetry on one side and a clean view of the camera feed on the other. The downside is the added weight. The remote feels a bit heftier than the tiny stick-only controllers you see with budget drones. If you're planning to travel light, think backpacking, or city hopping, that extra ounce can be a nuisance. It's a trade-off between convenience and portability, and you'll have to decide which matters more for your shooting style. So who should consider buying the Air 3S Fly More combo? If you're a travel photographer who wants to capture cinematic footage without lugging a DSLR and a separate gimbal, this drone gives you that flexibility. The 1-inch sensor and HDR video are especially useful when you're shooting in varied lighting conditions, like a sunrise over a canyon or a night market bustling with neon. Content creators who need reliable footage for YouTube, social media, or short documentaries will appreciate the consistent signal range that DJI's O3 transmission system offers, up to 8 kilometers in open space, with a stable connection even when you're moving around. The inclusion of 3 batteries and a charger also makes sense for anyone who wants to stay on the air longer without constantly hunting for an outlet. On the flip side, If you're just looking for a toy to fly around the backyard on a weekend, the Air 3S probably feels over-engineered. Its price point, even with the Fly More combo, sits well above entry-level alternatives, and the extra features like LiDAR and the 5-inch screen may never get used. Similarly, professional